Welcome to the first ever worship team training podcast. My name is Alex Infiegin, and I am your host today. I'm so thankful that you chose to tune in, whether you're watching or listening online. So glad that you have taken the time out of your schedule to be part of this podcast. The whole purpose of the Worship Team Training Podcast is to equip you as a team member or a worship leader to be the best worship leader or worship team member that you possibly can be, whether that's theologically, spiritually, or musically. I want to help equip you to be a blessing to your church. So, with that, we're jumping into our first podcast, which is the 7 traits of a good team member. What are the 7 characteristics of a good worship team member? So I'm going to give you the 7 characteristics up front, and then we'll go down and break them into smaller chunks and think about them a little more deeply. So the 7 traits of a good worship team member are: number 1, their character; number 2, their craft; number 3, their commitment; number 4, their coachability; number 5, their chemistry; number 6, their charisma; and number 7, their communication. When I'm looking for a team member to join our church's worship team, these are the 7 traits that I'm looking for. And so let's break these down. Whether you're a team member or whether you're a worship leader, just think through these grids and ask yourself, am I a good team member? Or is this person that I'm considering adding to my team going to be a good team member? So hopefully these are helpful to you. And so here we go. Number 1, character. The first thing I look for in a team member is their character. Are they godly people? Are they humble? Are they servant-minded? It's so important to put this first, because a lot of times if someone is an awesome musician, we're tempted just to put them up there because they're going to make the music better. But that's not an honoring thing to God, because God doesn't really care about music. God cares about our hearts. And so if someone is far from God or is not walking in a way that honors God with their whole life, and yet they get up there on Sunday to lead worship, that's hypocrisy. So character has to be the first thing. If they don't pass the character test, don't even go any further. Does this person have a heart for God? Do they love the church? Do they have a knowledge of God's word? Is their walk with Christ real and vibrant? And most importantly, are they committed to your church body, or are they just, wanting to play? So character, number 1, hugely important. Don't skip character. It will save you a lot of headaches. Even if you feel like, oh, I just really need an electric guitar player, or I just really need a keyboard player right now, or how am I supposed to play without a drummer? You don't want to put someone up there if they aren't going to represent Christ well. So don't skip on this. You will save yourself a lot of headaches. Secondly, if they pass the character test, craft. You want someone on your team who is committed to developing their craft as a musician or a singer. So if you are a team member, be committed to developing your craft. We want people on our teams who have a high quality of musical ability. We want to bring our best to the Lord. We want to bring our best to the church because we're better equipped to serve the church. And the church gets more when we are able to use our instruments or our voices in a way that really helps them worship and doesn't distract them from worship. So, is this person, or are you, quick to adapt to musical changes and readjust your parts, or are you rigid or inflexible? Does this person play well with the team? Are they listening to what the other team members are playing and find parts that fit in and complement that? Or do they just play whatever they want and they're real busy and they don't serve the song? Instead, they serve their ego and play all over the keyboard or all over the guitar neck. So these are things that we're looking for in team members. How to be a good team member? You work on your craft. Practice with the metronome. Practice listening to other songs, worship songs, and pick out the parts of your instrument and say, what is that professional keyboard player playing? Oh, I see, he's playing very little here. So use the resources that are available to you, whether they're online or take lessons, or just do what you have to do to improve your craft. Because if you want to be a great worship team member, you will continually grow in your craft. So, character, craft, then commitment. This is important because if you join a worship team but aren't committed to the team, to your ability, to the church body in general, then you're not going to be a blessing to the church. And that's what we want. We want to be blessings to the church. So, commitment. Is this person, are you constantly trying to get better as a musician? Are you practicing your instrument weekly at least? Are you reading articles online or watching videos to grow and to be committed to your role on the team? And then besides being committed to musical growth, it's also important that you're committed to your church. If you're just showing up when you want to play, or if you're just showing up on the weeks that you're scheduled to play, there's something wrong. You should be in love with your church body. You should be committed to your church body, even on the weeks where you're sitting in the pews. In fact, I would argue that we need more worship leaders in the pews to spur the congregation on to worship. So don't just show up when you're playing. Also, be committed to the obligations you have as a team member, meaning show up to your rehearsals on time. And, are you prepared? Do you know your parts? Do you have them down cold? Or are you fumbling through the music? Be committed. Being part of a team is a commitment. And when all of us, including the worship leader, myself included, when we are committed to practicing before rehearsal, then the whole rehearsal goes better, and things just sound better, and the church is blessed more. So be committed to your team, to your church, to your worship leader. Don't leave them hanging, Don't text them that you're, 15 minutes late when you're already 15 minutes late. Let us know, let your worship leader know ahead of time. Be committed. So, character, craft, commitment. The next thing that we look for, at least in our music department, is this person coachable? Are they coachable? Are they willing to take direction? Because a lot of us, we get stuck on, I just want to play how I play, what I play, when I play. I don't really want someone to tell me when to play. But again, we're looking for people who are humble and who just want to serve and be a blessing. So if there's a lack of receptiveness to input and direction, that person is just going to butt heads with the worship leader or the music director of the church. Oftentimes with my team, we'll be playing something and I'll have everyone stop and I'll say, hey, what you're doing, can you try this instead? And graciously, my team members always say, yeah, I'll play that. But if you're like, no, I don't want to play that because that sounds stupid in my opinion, or I don't like that, or I want to play this jazzy beat even though it doesn't work with the song, that's not a coachable, humble, servant-minded attitude. So be coachable, because your music director or your worship leader at your church, they were hired because they have the gift of, hopefully, they have the gift of piecing together music and producing a live band situation. So trust their judgment, their musical judgment, and be a blessing to them, and work with them to bless the church. They have a vision in mind for the song, and they want that vision to be accomplished. So work with them, not against them. Be coachable. The next trait of being a good team member is chemistry. And there are a lot of different types of chemistry, not the one in high school. The one that says musically, does this person mesh well musically with the current team members and the sound that we're trying to accomplish? Because there are many people who are extremely talented musicians. They might be a piano player or a guitar player, but they just do their thing and they have a style. They're very good at it, but their style does not mesh, doesn't have chemistry with your current sound or the vision for your team. So don't just settle for a keyboard player because they've got classical experience and they can rip the keyboard to shreds, because if you put them into a contemporary setting, they might be all over the keyboard in every spectrum of sound, low, high, mid. They're playing everything. They're playing the bass lines, they're playing the melodies, they're playing the little flourishes up top, and they're leaving no space for anyone else. So, pick people who you think are going to mesh musically with your current team or with the sound that you're trying to accomplish. That's really important. Also make sure that their tone and their style is modern. That's just the musical chemistry. But besides that, you want to make sure relationally they fit, that they have chemistry with your team. So, do they get along with the other team members? The last thing you want is team member drama. So, if you're a team member, please do your worship leader a favor and get along, be kind, be compassionate, be quick to forgive, don't hold grudges. Do they get along with your team? Are they easygoing or do they cause drama? So you want people on your team who are fun to be around, who love to be around each other, who would get together and have, not picnics, well, maybe picnics, but something that you enjoy being together, you enjoy praying together, you enjoy reading the Word together, you enjoy playing together, you laugh together. So chemistry is super important, not just musically, but relationally. So, and to encourage chemistry, if you're a worship leader or a music director, I would encourage you to do things with your team. I know I'm trying to grow in this. It's hard because everyone's busy, but put something on the calendar, a bonfire or, a night of prayer and a potluck at someone's house. Just get together and be together outside of rehearsal night or Sunday morning. Chemistry for a team member is a huge thing. 2 more, charisma. Charisma meaning, is this person a natural leader on the stage? I've had many experiences with a team member who might be great at what they do musically or vocally, but when they get on the stage, they lock up, they freeze, they get uncomfortable, they get stage fright, they get awkward, and they just, shut down and look, really distracting. So it's important for a worship team member to be comfortable on a stage, to be comfortable in front of people, because that's what we're doing. We're leading people, right? And so I would say if you're someone on a team and you're uncomfortable on the stage, I would try to find places to serve that are maybe a little less intimidating. Maybe it's in the youth band, or maybe in the college band, or somewhere where there may be less eyeballs on you, and try to get comfortable there first, and then work your way up to the main stage, because we're called to worship the Lord with our bodies, to use our bodies, to lift our hands, to lift our eyes to the Lord. And so if your body language is a downer, you're leading the congregation down, and you're leading with your body. So be aware of your posture. Be aware of your facial expressions even. So express joy, express passion, express worship naturally in a non-distracting way. Because the last thing you want to do as a worship team member, you are a worship leader if you're on the stage. The last thing you want to do is to look bored or look unengaged or look super nervous, because when you're nervous, the congregation is nervous for you. So have charisma. And then the final thing, just as an administrative element to the whole being a good team member, the last thing is communication. As a worship leader and as a music director and as a ministry leader, I send a lot of emails. I have to send a lot of texts. I have to send a lot of planning center, scheduling requests. And I'm looking for in a team member someone who is quick to respond to my communication. That doesn't mean they drop everything, but it also doesn't mean that what it does mean is if they don't respond ever to a planning center request or a scheduling request, something's wrong. So be quick to communicate with your worship leader, because they can't plan their sets. They can't they can't pick songs if they don't know if you're playing or not, because believe it or not, we do choose songs based on who's playing on the team for any given week. So be quick to communicate. If you're going to be late to rehearsal, let them know ahead of time so they can get started without you. Even if one thing about communication too, if you have an issue with your worship leader, don't talk about it with your other team members. Talk about it with your worship leader. Hopefully they're a kind, loving person, and they will gladly hear your input and respond in a godly, wise manner. So communication is such an important part of being a good team member. And even on the stage, when you're looking at your worship leader, make sure you're watching him for the cues and any changes that he might or she might be making. So those are the 7 traits of a good team member. I'll go through them one more time. Character first, craft, commitment, coachability, chemistry, charisma, and communication. I hope this podcast was a blessing to you. I hope you took something away. I hope you learned from it. And if it was a blessing, please share it with someone else that might be encouraged by it. And if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and leave a rating for me on iTunes. That would help me so much to get the word out to other worship leaders and other worship team members that we have something here, the Worship Team Training Podcast, meant to equip and bless them so that they might be a blessing to their church. God bless you, and have a great day and have a great Sunday. Worship Jesus passionately. God bless. Bye.